Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm Kristen Denny, manager of the municipality of Bethel Park, and I'll be your host for the Live Well Bethel Park program, all about sleep. Featured today will be Kelly Thompson, co-owner and president CEO of Lung and Wellness Centers, and CenterPoint Sleep Associates and Sleep Wellness Center. Kelly has over 35 years' experience in physical rehabilitation and sleep diagnostics, and her passion for providing quality health care inspired her to found Lung and Wellness Centers. Along with having a Bachelor of Science degree in Allied Health and Respiratory Therapy from Indiana University of Pennsylvania and West Penn Hospital, Kelly is a member of several professional organizations and has served on many boards and advisory committees, which can all be found on our Live Well Bethel Park webpage at bethelparkpa.gov. Join us as we learn more about the benefit of a good night's sleep and what we can do if we're struggling to fall or stay asleep. So, can you please tell us a bit about yourself and your background?
Yes, I am a respiratory therapist that graduated from IUP in 1990. I started out working in the hospitals and in 1993 took a job working as a sleep tech. So I've been doing this for a while. I also have worked in education. I was the director of a school in Pittsburgh, and more recently, I am a business owner and a co-owner of Lung and Wellness Centers. We do respiratory rehab, pulmonary rehab, physical therapy, chronic disease management, and my partner and I also own CenterPoint Sleep Associates and Sleep Wellness Centers. So we own sleep labs in the greater Pittsburgh area, including McMurray, Butler, Moon, and we have managed a Sharon Hospital for a number of years.
Great, thank you for sharing that. It seems that many people aren't able to get a good night's sleep frequently, waking up in the middle of the night or simply not being able to fall asleep. Can you speak about why a good night's sleep is important to your physical and your mental health?
Well, everything begins at night. You know, if we don't sleep well at night, we don't set ourselves up for a good day. We can wake up feeling like we have headaches, we are fatigued, have mental fogginess, and in addition to just feeling generally miserable during the day, it's taxing on your heart. So it can cause heart issues, it can cause neurologic issues, it can really set you up for a lot of long-term health problems. So a lot of people poo-poo sleep and the fact that they, maybe they're taking little naps, mini naps, or they do wake up with headaches, or their spouse says that they snore at night, and they just want to ignore it. But ultimately, it really can cause a lot of long-term chronic health conditions.
Mm-hmm. So what are some factors that cause us not to sleep well?
Well, obviously in our very busy life now, everybody's on the go. A lot of us don't take good care of ourselves, so maybe they don't have a good sleep pattern. Maybe they don't get a set number of hours of sleep a night. So it's important that maybe they drink too much caffeine and don't eat properly. So things like exercise, having good sleep hygiene, where you don't drink a lot of caffeine, that'll help you so you're able to sleep at night. Those things are all factors that can cause us to not have a good night's sleep. And then obviously there are medical conditions that can cause us to not have a good night's sleep, like sleep apnea. And a variety of parasomnias that happen at night that need to have diagnosis. But just the fact that the lifestyle that we lead now, in a lot of people have poor dietary, nutrition, and the stress and the way we lead our lives is definitely.
So you mentioned caffeine, and I think a lot of us fall into the league of caffeine lovers. I know I am. I love a good coffee. So what would you say is there a time of day you should quit drinking caffeine, and how much caffeine should you have a day? Where should you cap it so that it doesn't interfere with your sleep cycle?
Well, it's probably a personal, like an individual type thing that you know your body, but I would not be drinking caffeine after 4 o'clock. Or maybe 5 o'clock. Some people can drink caffeine at 7 o'clock and go right to sleep. And, you know, you probably don't have as good of sleep as you would if you would have stopped earlier. But I think as a general rule, I wouldn't be drinking anything after 4 or 5 o'clock. Gives yourself some time to prepare your body for sleep at night.
Okay. So I know that you provide a full range of sleep testing services. Can you explain those and who they're appropriate for?
We do. Well, if you have any of the symptoms I was talking about, headaches, your partner says that you snore at night, maybe you find yourself jerking at night or waking up in the middle of the night, or remembering your dreams, because remembering your dreams is not actually something that you should be able to do on a daily basis. If you're remembering your dreams, that means that you're probably having disruption in the middle of your sleep. You want to talk to your physician about the fact that you are experiencing any of these symptoms, because they may be indicative of something more serious like obstructive sleep apnea.
Interesting. So I understand there's a home sleep test. Is there any way that you can explain how that works for our viewers at home?
Yes, I actually have a home sleep unit right here that
Okay.
I was going to show you. You can see it is actually very non-invasive. There's not a lot to it. As you can see, there's a belt that goes around your chest, and what that does is that senses your breathing. There is a little nasal cannula that'll go into your nose, and that senses the flow. This senses the effort, and then there's an oximeter here. It's called a pulse oximeter. It just goes on your finger, and that looks at your oxygen
Okay.
and your heart rate. So what we do with this is maybe we have somebody that doesn't really need to come into the lab. Maybe somebody that's younger, that doesn't have a lot of comorbidities or other health issues. This would be an appropriate test for them. It's something they can do in their home. We send it to them in the mail. They do the test. They can do up to 3 nights. They put it in an envelope and send it back to us. We're able to get all of the data that we need, typically, right from this little unit. This is something that insurances are definitely leaning towards in a lot of cases, but it's a really good option for people to be in their home, be comfortable sleeping in their own bed, and they don't feel as intimidated and nervous about performing the test.
Okay, that's great. So in contrast to that, how does an in-lab sleep test work? And I assume this is where this would occur.
Yes.
And if you could just walk us through what happens during the in-lab sleep
Yes.
test.
When people come in for an in-lab test, there's a variety of reasons that they would come. It could be just that maybe we weren't able to get the proper information, or maybe the information that we got from the home sleep study made us think there may be more to the diagnosis. So we want to have them in and have them monitored with, some more equipment. Because when they come in for the in-lab study, we will put them on a monitor. Do you want me to show that?
Sure.
Okay. We have a monitor that actually helps, or we hook up to their head and they monitor their EEGs and look at the brain waves. We are able to see what stage of sleep they're in, how long they're in that stage of sleep, and if there's any disruptions in that stage of sleep. We are also able to monitor their EKG, which is their heart rate, to make sure that there's no arrhythmias or anything concerning there. And we also have the ability to have an actual individual here to watch the study and make sure if there is a problem that they are able to document properly and also to treat if necessary. The home sleep studies are great if they're done well, but a lot of times you might have people that are older, or they don't have like a supported home, and maybe they're not able to keep the unit on, and it falls off, and we are not able to get the proper information. So coming into the lab and having a skilled technician is a better approach.
Okay. So once one of these tests are completed, what happens next as a form of treatment?
If we find out that the patient has obstructive sleep apnea, what we would do is treat them with, they would come back in for a second night, and we would treat them with CPAP. That is always the first line of defense, because it works 100% of the time if you use it. And I say if because that's also the biggest problem is compliance. You know, it's not natural. In fact, I brought a machine here for you to see. A lot of people look at the CPAPs and they remember back in the day when someone that they know and loved had it, and it was loud and it was real intrusive. But the units and the masks today, they've all changed because of compliance and the fact that they need to treat this disease if they want to, you know, not have the risk of the bad things that happen to us, like the heart problems and the neurologic problems. But as you can see, this is just one example of a mask. It just fits over, this one fits over the nose and the mouth. But they make them that they will just cradle the nose. So you don't have that big mask covering over your nose and hitting you in the eyes like they did at one point. So the manufacturers have definitely come a long, long way with not only the masks, but the units. The units are small, they're quiet. And if they, you know, if you use the machine, it will treat the sleep apnea. We do have a network of dentists that focus on dental sleep medicine. And so if we have somebody that cannot use the machine, that may be the appropriate referral for them to go and see a sleep dentist. We also do testing for Inspire, which I know people may have heard, which is an implanted device that a lot of physicians in the area are surgically inserting the Inspire, and they can turn it on and turn it off in the morning so they don't have anything on their face at all. So there's a lot of different avenues for these patients to go for treatment. Not everybody that comes in has obstructive sleep apnea. There are other diagnoses. We have people that have central sleep apnea, and maybe that's somebody that had a stroke, and that's treated, you know, usually with a machine, but a little bit different. And it may just be that they need some good sleep hygiene that is the cause, the root of their problem. And as I mentioned, there are other parasomnias that can happen, like basically just some things that happen at night that once we're able to diagnose, the physician's better able to direct care.
Okay. So can you offer any sleep strategies or recommendations to improve your sleep?
I would say the best thing that you can do is try to have daily exercise, to keep a consistent sleep schedule if possible, even though it's not possible for a lot of shift workers and so on. But if you try to set your sleep schedule where, you know, you're sleeping at a certain time, you try to sleep for a certain amount of time to get your body used to a good sleep regime. You also want to sleep with the TV off and the lights off. Having that background noise can actually cause you to wake up. Even though you're not waking to full consciousness, it can actually make your body come in and out of the deep sleep stages, and consequently, you're not going to feel rested in the morning. So diet, exercise, and a good sleep regime is probably the best things you can do.
Is there anything else that you would like to add?
Yes, we have a lot of resources for these patients, even if they just want to know more about sleep studies, the home units, the in-labs, and all they have to do is call our office, and we have girls on staff that are more than happy to talk to them if they want to know a little more in detail about what happens, if they ever want to, speak to a sleep tech. There's a lot of people out there that have had studies in the past and they didn't use the CPAP and they feel themselves, feeling worse during the day, and maybe they want to reconsider being tested. Those are all things that we can help them with, and we can also help to guide them to sleep physicians in the area if they need to have a discussion about the next step.
Okay. You mentioned sleep hygiene. What is considered sleep hygiene?
Sleep hygiene would be what we do to prepare ourselves for a good night's sleep. So trying to get the exercise, trying to stop drinking caffeine, setting a sleep schedule, setting a sleep time that we're trying to get to bed by. All of those things, it's basically a routine.
Okay.
It's a sleep routine that we want people to do their best to adhere to, because it really will make a difference in the quality and quantity of their sleep.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank Kelly for providing so much information and for the tour of her center. We hope that you gained some insight into any sleep difficulties that you may be having. We've included Kelly's contact information for those who'd like to get in touch with her. As always, if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and family, and be on the lookout for the next installment of Live Well Bethel Park.